Hello, MCU fans! Today is going to be my breakdown and review of X-Men 97, Episode 6. Another fantastic episode, cannot wait to discuss it. Now, there will be spoilers, but as long as you're okay with that, then let's dive right in and see what we can find out. Don't forget, we have an April contest running all month long. Be a subscriber, leave a comment, you could win a book or a steel book. Best of luck. And of course, we have the membership option if you want to help me with my goal of doing this full-time one day. You get cool perks like early releases of videos and more. But honestly, no matter how you support the channel, it's all greatly appreciated. Leaving comments, liking videos, and subscribing, those things go a long way too. So thank you so much. Now, as usual, the opening credits give us so much to talk about. This time around, Storm is the one that narrates the previously on, so that's cool. Then, regarding the character title cards, Magneto's has been removed from the opening credits since seemingly he died in the previous episode. And I say that because, the Sentinel said, Omega threat eliminated. That seems pretty clear, right? But there are some theories that maybe he didn't die. One possibility is that leached his powers to the point where it seemed like he was dead. And so the Sentinel just walked away assuming he was dead. That's a possibility. I could see that. But this one is really creative. So I assumed that that is Magneto speaking German to Leech, saying, "Do not be afraid." And of course, he would speak German since that is his native tongue, since he was unfortunately raised in a Nazi prison war camp, right? So it was really touching that he would flash back to his childhood German and speak that way to Leech. However, maybe it isn't. This is a really good comment on my last video that said, notice that you don't see Magneto's mouth when he speaks German, because it's not him who's talking. It's Kurt, the German character. Wow. Wouldn't that be interesting if Nightcrawler teleported in, grabbed everyone, and teleported them out fast enough before, Leech actually took his powers away, and the Sentinel just thought Magneto was dead? I like that theory. In fact, I'm going to talk about something else that kind of lends itself to that theory a little bit later in the video. So yeah, I'm beginning to wonder if Magneto is actually dead. On the other hand, Gambit is dead. Bummer. Man, that was rough last episode. In fact, I'm going to bet that that is his coffin that we saw way back in the trailer months ago, and they made it look like it was Xavier's trailer, the way they edited Xavier's coffin, rather, the way they edited the trailer. But no, I think that's Gambit's, and we're going to see him buried, and it's going to be really sad next episode. Man, still not over his death. Then it's always worth mentioning Jean's hair, because that has changed in the title cards. When it's down, that typically indicated it was Madeline Pryor who was in the episode. And when it's in the ponytail, that's Jean Grey, because Jean likes it in the ponytail, Madeline likes it down. And of course, Madeline seemingly died in the last episode. That was crazy. I wonder if everybody's going to end up coming back. I mean, maybe Cable's going to find a way to go back in time and rewrite stuff. But for now, Madeline is definitely dead. Nightcrawler now has a title card. So does that mean he joined the team? I don't know when that happened, but I am all for it. So maybe we'll find out in the next episode he's officially there. Storm's title card is still gone because, of course, she's lost her powers and is gone from the team. Bishop's is gone because, well, he's in a totally different time now, floating through time. And Professor X, I haven't mentioned this before, but he's been gone from the opening credits for quite some time because, of course, he's out in space. But now, finally, will be returning. So, oh my word, so much just with the title cards. Then we move to the scenes they show us, which is Cable fighting Apocalypse, booking it away there. Notice his bright eye. I'll talk about that in just a second. But this scene is from Beyond Good and Evil, so it's teasing both Cable coming back, but also seemingly teasing Apocalypse. And notice in this episode, Apocalypse tricked Cable and stole his time device. So really interesting to see what Apocalypse has been up to when he shows up again. Then Bright Eyes, that actually is the nickname that Rogue gave him. So notice, remember me, Bright Eyes from the original series, she's saying as she flies down and punches him. And this is from Time Fugitives, which is yet another time travel episode. I think I need to go back and watch every one of those multiple times because clearly, they're all dovetailing into the storyline in X-Men 97. Then Nimrod gets a shout out, yet another time travel thing, because he is a Sentinel from the future, but here we see him basically running Master Mold. And here we see him again battling the X-Men. Notice they're knocking off his arm, but he can regenerate really easily. But it turns out he's battling Bishop and a funky-looking Wolverine and Storm, right? What's up with that? Well, it was from One Man's Worth, really good two-parter, from an alternate timeline with an alternate Wolverine and Storm. The time travel stuff, it's craziness. So I don't know if this is hinting we will see them again. Yeah, I do. I need to go back and watch every one of these episodes from the original series to prep for the last 4 coming up. Then we also see, I want to mention Nimrod in his final appearance in that One Man's Worth. Notice he's got a time device on his arm, and it's Bishop shooting it off and saying, "Your history." Nice one-liner. And then blowing him up. But of course, the blowing him up doesn't cause anything because he can regenerate. More important is that seems to imply Nimrod was lost in time, because he lost the time band. He's probably floating through space and time. So really anxious to see how they reintroduce him into X-Men 97 after this last appearance. So Sunspot still shows up in the opening credits, or in the opening scenes. I'm wondering if this is just a reminder that in the previous episode, this is my theory at least, that he ended up getting outed as a mutant by Trish Tilby. It might have been an accident, might have been intentional, but she did show him at the X-Mansion on her filming. So maybe that's going to come into play in the next episode. We continue to see Phoenix. What is going on? I mean, is there something bigger going on with her? Now, I could argue they're showing this scene because the Lilandra brings this up, but still, I don't know. Tell me if you think something bigger is coming with Phoenix. Then we see Forge and X-Factor, and of course this is a scene from Cold Comfort, X-Factor's appearance in the previous series, but also if you remember in Life, Death Part 1, we saw on the wall Forge with his team, X-Factor. Of course, here they are from the comics, and you can see Jamie Madrox, the Multiple Man, and I point him out because he showed up in the previous episode, probably killed, unfortunately, in Genosha, unless, of course, Cable finds a way to bring them all back. But yeah, it'd be cool to see more and more members of X-Factor showing up. And then they zoom in on Forge. And if you remember, we learned in the last episode that Forge, Adler, and Bastion, down here in the lower right, have all worked together. And I think that is going to be very important. And zoom in here on the photo, and you can see Adler. He was in the original series in the episode The Cure, and he used Forge's technology, we now learn, to help create those inhibitors for mutant powers that also ultimately was used by the Executioner to take away Storm's powers. Of course, it turned out Adler was really Mystique, and so it'll be interesting to see what happens there. Adler likely is dead, and Mystique had taken him over. But even more important is Bastion. And I mentioned him previously, but notice he's got his arm around Forge there. But what I didn't see is in the last episode, Magneto looks up, and sure enough, that looks like Bastion walking across the room. So he was there in Genosha. It makes you really think he has something to do with it. And I got to give a shout out. Black Marvel 4953 said, "Who did Magneto see at 2052?" I suspect he was asking that question because he knew the answer. It was Bastion. So man, a lot of different players there in Genosha that could have caused the destruction. All right, so in the opening scenes also we see the Imperial Guard because, of course, they play a really big role in the episode. Nice battle between the X-Men and them, which was from the Dark Phoenix saga in the original series. Here we see Professor X and Lilandra and, of course, their romance, which is teasing what's coming up in the episode. So lots in the opening credits. But I do want to mention something. I did a post on this. You may have seen the post, but if you didn't, then notice in the Disney Plus section for the Multiverse Saga, they have now added X-Men 97. And that is significant because there are things from Marvel Animation that aren't here. Moon Girl, for example, isn't here. And I really hope Moon Girl does cross over at some point. That's a cool series. But is this implying that X-Men 97 is part of the same multiverse, and maybe that this is going to end up happening, where X-Men 97 becomes the post-credit scene at the end of the Marvels? I am really thinking that may happen. Even their pocket protector looks the same. Plus, one of the biggest reasons people said, nope, can't be, because they mentioned Charles, and Charles is dead. Well, now we know Charles is not dead, and he is returning to the X-Men. So even this line now works. So let me know your thoughts. Is it possible that this is going to cross over with the Marvels and be the same team? And also, would you want that to happen? Is it a good thing or is it a bad thing? There's a lot of different opinions on that. But something else I want to bring up really quickly is people have said, okay, so why exactly is it in this section but not in the timeline? Well, note, there is a MCU Infinity Saga section also, but everything in the Multiverse Saga and the Infinity Saga is also in the complete timeline. other than X-Men 97. And I think this is going to end up becoming more and more of a tricky situation because Deadpool is going to show up in the multiverse saga. Will they put it in the timeline? I mean, when you think about this multiverse saga timeline, it's really tricky. You've kind of got three sections. On the top, you've got all the characters throughout the multiverse, the Tobys, the Andrews, 838, Deadpool, Wolverine, Fantastic Four, etc. Then you've got this through line of Loki and What If and the Loom and the Void and the Tree. And then you've got the main MCU multiverse. How do you show this on Disney Plus? I mean, sure, they don't need the lines. I get that. But I'm just saying, this is tricky. Trying to show the multiverse timeline on Disney Plus. Hey, I hope they find a way to do it. If not, I'm going to keep updating diagrams like this. But yeah, very, very, very interesting. All right, so finally, let's get to the episode, right? So much in those opening credits. So Deathbird, it seems, is no longer in timeout. And I say that because the last time we saw her in the original series, which is here, and it was an episode Beyond Good and Evil, she was trying to take over the Empire from her sister, Lilandra. And actually Apocalypse was going to help her and then betrayed her. So I'm guessing they, brought her back in because she's now working with the Imperial Guard fighting Ronan and the Kree, right? It was really cool seeing Ronan, by the way. But yeah, I don't know. They probably shouldn't have trusted Deathbird and brought her back, but they did. And she's working with the Imperial Guard to take down the Kree. And I love this group shot. You can see them all there. I'll talk about who they are in just a second, but I do want to mention an interesting trivia point for those that didn't know this. So the Imperial Guard was actually patterned after the Legion of Superheroes. In fact, you can see several of the characters look pretty much exactly like, power set-wise at least, the Legion of Superheroes. And the Imperial Guard originated in the late 70s, and Legion of Superheroes was incredibly popular at that point in time. So, yeah, just kind of fun. I mean, Marvel didn't try to hide it. This was not like, oh, we don't want you to know. They're like, no, we're totally ripping off the power sets. So there. But anyway, speaking of, here's who they are. Gladiator, Earthquake, Smasher, Flashfire, Titan, Manta, Warstar, and Starbolt. Oracle was also in the original series, didn't seem to show up in this episode, but probably a member of the team as well. And then this guy did not show up in the original series, and they kind of hang on him here in this scene. That is Vulcan. I think they want you to see him and to wonder, is this a good thing or a bad thing? Vulcan is another brother of Scott Summers. Of course, Havoc is one of his brothers, but at least in the comics, he's not a good dude. He's a hot mess. So we'll see how they adapt him in X-Men 97, but I do wonder if the Imperial Guard will wish they had not had him join. We'll see. So the poor Supreme Intelligence cannot seem to catch a break. So Deathbird is looking for the Supreme Intelligence. I know that he's fled. Where is the Supreme Intelligence at? Of course, the Supreme Intelligence did appear in the original series and didn't have much of an appearance, didn't do much. But of course, in the Marvels, Supreme Intelligence doesn't exist anymore because Carol Danvers obviously destroyed him. So yeah, it seems in every series the Supreme Intelligence is not doing too well. But then the battle is put on hold because we learn about a wedding. Because your sister, the Empress, has an announcement. So over the intercom, if you will, the interplanetary intercom, she says, 1 year ago, we offered the skills of our mighty healers, and hold that note for a second, 1 year ago. So that's nice. We get a little timeline continuity thing here. So basically, this episode would be 1 year from when the final series ended. And we know that was in November of 96. So this would place us in November of 97. So yay, timeline. I am working on a timeline for the original series. I will hope to have that out really soon. All right, so anyway, she says, we offer the skills of our mighty healers to a Terran on the verge of death. Of course, we all know that's going to be Professor X. And she says, this man helped spare the entire universe from the madness of my brother D'Ken, which was an original series episode, as well as the galactic hunger of the Phoenix. Because like I said, that's why I think Phoenix is in the opening credits, because Lilandra is referring to her, but maybe there's more to it. But just pausing on this for a second, why are these people not in love with Xavier? I mean, that's two major things that he helped save their universe, the entire universe, sorry, but also their planet and their system. Nope, they don't like him because he's Terran, as we'll see here. So she also says, this man has unlocked the secrets to my heart, and we get the little look from Makari. In fact, really, the scowl from everyone. And the Empire shall welcome our new emperor, Professor Charles Xavier, who notice is now walking, but that's with the help of this suit. But it doesn't seem to go too well. So now we start to see this major theme of forced assimilation. We're going to see it not only in the Xavier portion, but also in the life-death portion. Now, it's very specific in this portion of the episode, and it's hinted at in the Storm one, so we'll get to that. But he says, I pray our act of performative jingoism erased any concerns over my heritage. Well, what does that word mean, right? So this definition, I think, really says it well. Extreme chauvinism or nationalism marked especially by a belligerent foreign policy. So basically, said simply, forced assimilation, right? Nationalism is saying, we're right, we're better than you, and the only way you can be part of our society is if you become like us. So we're going to see this comes up over and over. So perhaps an empress, says Xavier, could even spend a portion of her time ruling the galaxy from my little corner of it. So he's trying to say, hey, don't forget Earth. But I love this. Lalandra says, families often mimic black holes. Yeah, they do, right? Visit and risk being stuck in its ever spiraling vacuum of dramas. That's funny, since, of course, the X-Men are nothing but a giant soap opera, which we love, by the way, we love, but that's really funny. So another kind of joke about the soap opera-like nature of the X-Men. But here's the real key. She says, once we crush the Kree, an educator like you can teach them our ways. So see, she's saying it really nicely, but that's basically forcing them to become like the Shi'ar. But Deathbird doesn't hide anything. She says, your consort was born on the wrong side of the stars. A union with the Terran, yikes, would bind the Shi'ar into alliance with his inferior home world. Oh, but she's not done. Xavier would see his Milky Way ghetto become our new throne. Oh, but that's not it. Have our blood mixed with his inferior freak fluids? Man, tell us how you really feel, Deathbird. I mean, honestly, how are you feeling right now? Wow. So to ensure we're protected from your Terran ties, you must renounce Earth and erase all memory of your life there. You see, that is the forced assimilation. The only way you can be part of us is for you to forget everything about your past and become what we are. Then Xavier's trying to rationalize with Gladiator what is united if one half must be erased for the sake of the whole. Great question. But ultimately, that's what Xavier has to do. So he's willing to do it, or so he thinks. As they say, are you willing to renounce all memories of Earth, of your life there? Xavier, do you renounce your X-Men? And that's when he finally decides, no, I can't go there. I cannot renounce my X-Men. I love that that's what snaps him out of this craziness. So then this portion of the episode ends with Xavier going back to school. School is back in session. And in fact, we see the professor part of Professor X here as he takes them into the astral plane to explain to them what it is they're doing, which really is explaining a lot about, America and many other countries as well. He says younger cultures that had they not been tilled to death by the Shi'ar would now be empires rivaling your own. Fearing this, you strike at the knees and claim to help them walk again. Forced assimilation, right? He says, but only if they assimilate. That for me to be more, you must be less. Boy, that's the big lesson, right? We need to get past that. Because, he says, coexistence is messy. Well, that's his whole theme. That is everything about Professor Xavier. He believes that so firmly that we can coexist, but it is not easy. So I love that. Really, really drives this point home. And I think the episode was smart because it's preaching a little to us, yes, but it's doing it in outer space with an alien race, etc. And it seems like humanity are the good guys. We're going to see we're not necessarily the good guys in the storm portion of the episode. But so they kind of preached heavy here, and I love it. I'm all for it. And now we'll see it come home to roost in a moment. But because Xavier is using his power so strongly, I think that's what linked him with the genocide and the horrific nature of everyone dying, because now he starts to see this vision. And this is key. Who does he see? Does he see Magus, his best friend? No, he sees Gambit's death. So I think that's another hint that Magneto didn't die. Because, I love Gambit, obviously, and his death was so emotional. But Magneto is the one that he has the close ties with. He even mentions that earlier in the episode. So I think this is a big hint that Magneto is still alive. Nonetheless, in this vision, it's Gambit that basically blasts Xavier and, ooh, wow, ouch. But some of this stuff you do not pick up unless you slow pause. But yeah, that they have some pretty graphic scenes at times. Very cool. So then finally, Xavier realizes, nope, I gotta go. I gotta get out of here. I have to return to Earth immediately. While I cowered in the cosmos, the unthinkable has happened. It's time I return to my X-Men. So yay, we're all cheering at that point. Very interesting to see how he reacts when he gets home. Oh my word. But now, I kind of covered everything about Xavier at once. Now we're going to look at everything on Storm's storyline. So we see her nursing Forge's wounds, trying to get him to drink, and ooh, that thing is nastiness. The bite is some sort of demonic infection. So Forge discusses the fact that there's a cactus that can save him, and she's going to have to go and get it, which we're going to see in a moment, but not before the adversary starts its attacks, which it never lets up on, really. He cost you everything, a tawdry romance of guilt and shame. And I love the fact that the adversary is hiding up in the rafters because, and I did not point this out, I missed it, in addition to the fact that Storm is, the same voice actress is playing both the adversary and Storm. That's really cool, showing us that this is more in Storm's mind. But in addition to that, the adversary has been showing up several times. Notice the adversary's eyes up in the rafters. So the adversary was hiding even in Life Death episode 1. But, of course, and I did point this out, the adversary is flying through the sky here because even Storm notices it, that owl. I've seen him before circling. But here's what I think she's talking about. Not so much in this episode did she see him before. She saw him all the way back in episode 2. Whoa. Isn't that cool? I think that was the adversary flying overhead because this was the first moment when fear and dread entered her mind because, of course, she lost her powers. And the adversary feeds on fear. So that's pretty cool to think that that was the adversary first gaining a foothold with Storm. So now we see the adversary just going nuts with her. Throws her into this coffin because, of course, she's claustrophobic. I am too, so these scenes were kind of tough for me. Now, in the comics, the adversary looks more human, but I did notice his legs in this scene in the back. They do make him, he's an owl, definitely, but he's got some humanity to him as well with his legs, so that's kind of cool. But then Storm is saying, hey, I don't fear death. And the adversary says, no, you fear living, which I really think ties together this life-death concept, right? This the whole life-death story. You fear living. She doesn't want to go on as a mutant. She feared the troubles that had caused and humanity hating her, etc. And we'll see more of how the adversary uses that against her in a moment, but not before Forge has a few surprises in store. Wow, didn't see this coming. That was cool. A weaver of lies, he screams. I tear your thread and break your loom. And look at the book is even glowing there. That's really cool. And the magic spells looking just like from when Doctor Strange uses them. Depart to the desert, demon, he screams. And it makes sense because Forge, assuming this is all one multiverse, Forge would be pulling his magic from the same realm, dimension, etc. that Doctor Strange does. So, of course, the spells would look the same. Very, very cool. Now, here is a less heavy-handed but still very strong message about forced assimilation. So now Storm is going with Forge to go try to find that cactus to heal him. Notice Forge says Union forces stored weapons here during the Civil War, but then this is even more important. It was actually built during the Plains War decades earlier by colonists. Okay. What does this mean, right? Because I did not remember ever reading about the Plains War, probably when I was in high school. But short summary, very short summary of the Plains War. The indigenous peoples of the Great Plains displayed historic nomadism and armed resistance to domination by the government and military forces of Canada and the United States. And because of that, they're often used as a big-time example of resisting forced assimilation. Notice that it was their nomadism and their resistance to being dominated, to having their way of life taken away. And of course, the result was those wars exterminated your people, as Storm says. So yeah, I really liked this episode because, again, they used outer space to bring up this concept, and then now they go, oh, by the way, you did it too. You've all done it. Anybody who colonized anywhere has been part of this forced assimilation. So lots to think about as you watch this episode. The action is fun, the fighting is fun, but the message is what really sticks with you. So, okay, Storm then now must face her fears. Oh my goodness, again, being a claustrophobic, I did not like this. Yes, that would be my face, as she has to go in with a flashlight, crawling between the rocks, trying to reach up there and get that cactus. Good night. But that is when the adversary decides to return and use his main weapon, which is fear poached in self-loathing. So basically, Storm loathed herself, loathed her mutant ability, because all it did is brought humanity to attack her and to fight with her, and obviously to take away her powers ultimately. And in fact, Forge, a little earlier, said the big evil owl that feeds on anger and self-loathing. So it really feeds on anger, fear, and self-loathing, all three of which Storm has a ton of. And then the adversary says, play dead, or humanity will thunder down upon you and your kind. So in other words, the longer you use your mutant abilities, that will only make humanity attack you all the more. And in fact, Storm had earlier said, in a way, your machine failing to cure her is a blessing, because she really doesn't think she wants her mutant ability back. But I'm going to throw something out. She says your machine failed. I don't think it failed. I think it worked. I think it reversed the executioner's gun because, Forge created those devices. I think now it's psychosomatic. She really does not want her powers back. So even though that she has them, she's not able to use them because her mind has shut them off. Wild. Let me know what you think about that, but I think that's what's happened here. All right, so regardless of why she couldn't have them, she has now got them back, because I think she has beaten her fear and she's decided, nope, I'm going to fully live in my mutant abilities. And boy, does she ever. Look at this. Boom. And then all the way to outer space. Literally, we see a satellite seeing her display of power as she's floating through the sky. That is so amazing. So amazing. And then we see that she now has her longer hair and one of her original outfit, going all the way back to Giant Size X-Men #1, where it all started. I love this outfit. Let me know your thoughts on it. I also love the mohawk, but I do like her long hair as well. So this is really cool to see her flying past the horses, which, remember, before all she could do is ride on them, and now she can fly with them. Flying over the stream, looking at her reflection, very, very cool. And then this, man, just unleashing her power. Remember, Omega level threat. That's what the Sentinels said. So, wow. So cool to see her back again. Yay, Storm. Then now she has to sit down and try to heal Forge. She got that cactus, of course. But this is really important what she said. The things we bury within us, like her self-loathing, her hatred of herself, until we finally heal from those and heal our adversary, we do that by embracing it. We embrace the self-loathing and eliminate it. We don't try to hide from it. We don't try to bury it. We accept what self-loathing and hatred we have, and so we can move past it. So yeah, I really do think there were some psychosomatic issues going on with her. What a great message for us just in life. And then she says there it's starting to heal, but of course she too has healed. Look at that long hair. So cool. So cool. Yay, Storm. But then she gets the bad news, right? They turn on the news and learn that rumors are that Genosha is the opening salvo, only the beginning, in a long-feared evolutionary war between humans and mutants. Yikes. So yeah, she's got her powers back, only to realize this is what you feared, right? This is why she was afraid to use her powers. I really hope she doesn't lose them again. But yeah, I think she's going to go and kick some butt. That's what's going to happen. So then we get a little teaser of what's to come, a little something sinister, if you will. We see Bolivar Trask running. He says, I gave you my DNA to access Master Mold. Just kill me, please, for what happened in Genosha. You can almost feel sorry for him, but no, sorry, buddy, I don't feel sorry. Notice also this little Easter egg, War of the Worlds, in the background there, and we also saw it a little earlier as he was running. That's an allusion to, obviously, the war that is coming between humanity and mutants. So very, very cool. And then he says, he hears the voice saying, Genosha was merely the beginning of a prologue now past. You have nothing to fear so long as you place your faith in Sinister. So big reminder that Sinister is still out there, probably had something to do with Genosha. In fact, didn't everybody seemingly at this point have something to do with Genosha? I'm not giving up on Cassandra Nova. I'm gonna hold firm that I hope that she has something to do with it. But really, with Bastion, Nimrod, Mr. Sinister, and Apocalypse all being hinted at, we don't even need Cassandra at this point. So probably she's not going to appear. But what do you think? Are all four of them involved? If so, how? Oh my word! And obviously, Cable coming back from the future is going to be involved too. Man, lots to unweave in the next 4 episodes. Let me know your thoughts on who might be behind this ultimately. I got to go back and watching all the time travel episodes again and try to get this all in my head. But I do think everyone here is probably going to play some small role in it. So, next episode, Bright Eyes, 1 week. Man, why do we have to wait a week? Cannot wait. What a great series. Let me know your thoughts overall on the series and, of course, on the episode. And don't forget, April contest. Be a subscriber, leave a comment, win a book or a steelbook. And, of course, we have the membership option if you're interested in that. And then I always love to mention the Discord. So many things going on there. We have watches of just about everything you can imagine. MMORPG is a lot of fun. Star Wars retrospectives going on. A thumbnail contest in case you want to help me make my new video when the rest of season 2, I should say, of Moon Girl comes out. And also we talk mostly about Star Wars, DC, and Marvel, but you can go to the other media threads and talk about anything you want. So, over 1,300 members across the globe, 24/7 conversations going on. Love to have you join. We'll leave a pinned comment so that you can be part of the server. Also, if you don't mind, like this video, subscribe if you haven't already. You can check out more content, and we'll all continue to enjoy the ever-growing, ever-changing Marvel Cinematic Universe.